wide open. I said wide open. I should rephrase that. Hello, Abnormal Investigations. I am trying a new um, way of recording this to you guys. I hope that you all are able maybe to hear this better. I'm not sure if it's going to be better, if it's going to be worse, but we're going to give it a try. I want to thank everybody for your support and for everything that you have done for us. Everything you've done for Hunter, everything has just been just great. I don't even have the words for it. I have an encounter for you guys we're going to get into, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy the encounter. So we will go ahead and jump into this encounter, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It was 10 years ago, and I was 19 years old. My boyfriend, he came up with the idea to go camping in South Michigan. At the time, I was excited to go. An entire week alone in the woods. Sounds like a fun and almost sexy weekend. Well, the first 5 days of the camping trip went very well. We went hiking and swimming in a nearby lake. It was nice and we had mostly innocent fun. But in the last few days, things got weird. It was the sixth day and we had decided to go on a walk early in the morning. We were walking along the lake. On the walk, we saw footprints in the sand by the lake. They looked like dog prints, so we mostly thought nothing of it until we got closer. Upon closer inspection, these prints were massive. These prints were 7 inches long. Not knowing what exactly made them, we assumed it was a bear. But we didn't serve to calm our nerves, as the bear was bad news. But we were not easily scared and unfortunately decided to stay without giving the prince a second thought. From that point on, I felt like I was being watched. I felt like I was being stalked no matter where I went. Even if I was alone, I could feel horrible eyes on my neck, eyes like lasers burning into my skin. After having our lunch, my boyfriend, whom was named Henry, came up with the idea to walk in the direction we had not walked in before, east. As soon as we started this walk, I started feeling kind of awful, sick to my stomach, dizzy, just not feeling well at all. That feeling of being watched was intensified by tenfold. I was hesitant, but I said nothing. 25 minutes into the walk, I felt better. My rational side of me told me I was just being paranoid. I was just anxious because we were out here for so long. But soon after, I could smell something awful. The smell brought tears to my eyes, and I actually got so sick that it did make me vomit. My boyfriend, next to me, was doubled over, but he did not vomit, but he was dry heaving. The smell was like a dead corpse, like rotting flesh, and the smell of death. Immediately we turned around, went back to camp. The smell was so powerful it smelled as if it was following us to camp, or whatever was making the smell was following us. This thought made me speed up into slow jog, forcing my boyfriend to do the same. Soon we came to the camp, and fortunately the smell was gone by then. Both of us decided to stay here for the rest of the day, as there was not much sunlight left, maybe 2 hours of day left. It was late, almost night, with a few scattered bits of light shining through the deep purple and pink sky. We had just finished cleaning out our scraps and leftover food, and paper that were the remnants of our dinner when Henry said, "Hey, do you hear that?" A few seconds passed. As I listened, I heard nothing. I said, "No, I don't hear anything," I told him. "Yes, yes, exactly. It was loud with the sounds of animals just a second ago." This creeped me out, so we rushed to the false safety that was our tent. Soon enough, we got over it and fell asleep. It was in the middle of the night when I woke up with dread. The smell from our walk. I could smell it, but it was somewhat faint. I slowly nudged Henry to wake him up because he was already awake. He told me I was up for at least 10 minutes, or that he was up almost 10 minutes. He told me he couldn't move. He was so scared. Slowly, the full moon slipped out from behind the clouds and lit up the dark outside of our tent, and both of us could see a tall, furry, and dog-like shadow. This alone was enough to scare us. But what was more was the shadow was on its rear legs. Legs that looked like dog legs. We watched this shadow move and crawl closer to the tent, sniffing the air. The closer it got, the stronger and worse the smell. As it got not even a foot from our tent, it reared its head and howled, a horrible blood-curdling howl. It was so loud. Now I know this was for real. This was a real creature and a real monster, and by all the sounds of it, it was pissed really, really bad. It was really pissed. We couldn't do anything. We had no gun, no knives, no weapons to fight this thing. The only thing we had was a snub-nosed revolver in the Jeep. All we could do was wait, and wait we did. It was hours before it walked off. We only stayed awake out of fear as we lay there, and we trembled, praying it did not try to come through the thin tent. Henry moved to open the tent, but I grabbed his hand. "What are you doing?" I hissed quietly. Henry replied quietly to me that he was going to book it to the car and grab his gun. "It's not gone," I told him. How do you know?" he said. The smell is still strong, still very powerful," and I told him, Henry. When I told him, he realized that I was right. We could do nothing, so we had to wait until daybreak or until the smell went away. We waited for what felt like years, but in reality was probably only an hour. That is how long it took the smell to dissipate. As soon as it did, we bolted to the Jeep, not bothering to get our things. I jumped into the driver's seat and rammed the keys into the ignition and started the car. As I did this, Henry grabbed the revolver. Let me tell you something about this particular Jeep. It was one of those Jeeps with no doors. No doors at all. Nothing there at all. Nothing between me and that monster. So you can understand that as soon as the engine started, we took the wide trail and at a breakneck speed. Not a second after we got it moving, I could see this werewolf with reddish-brown fur that looked like the blood running at an ungodly speed toward us. When I saw this, I floored it and I pushed the Jeep even harder down the dangerous winding trail. Soon it hit 40 miles per hour and this thing was keeping up with us effortlessly. 50 miles an hour and it was still there. But this thing was having to struggle to keep up with us at 50 miles an hour as we were slightly losing it. It was now on the passenger side of the Jeep. Next thing I know, I hear the loudest gunshot I've ever heard right after I hear a loud whining. And then it lets out a long, loud, and drawn-out howl. I kept pushing the Jeep until we hit the asphalt. We were still fairly isolated, but I had the confidence to slow down. We were going about 25 miles an hour now, and I'd had time to calm down. We continued to drive for 5 more minutes. We both were calm, and we were talking about what had just happened. We were both freaking out. And this thing had pushed us over the edge, and when we heard the howl very, very close behind us, I looked in the rearview mirror, and this thing was still following us. I screamed, "No, no, no," as I cried. This one was different. This one wasn't the brownish color. This one was gray. This was a different one. There was more than one the whole time. This got me to the floor, the Jeep, once again. This thing was persistent and fast, faster than the original one. The Jeep hit 60 miles per hour, and this thing was still trying to catch us as it was cutting through the woods, trying to beat us to each bend. This thing was taking shortcuts, trying to catch us. It was very intelligent. It was trying to cut us off. We would barely beat it to each bend. As we would go past, it would cross the road. We were exhausted, physically and mentally, both of us crying. Henry, taking a shot, as much as he could, out the back of the Jeep toward it when it would cross behind us, hoping to hit it to at least slow it down. Finally, we were able to hit the straightaway of the highway, where we ran 70 miles an hour, all the way to the next town. I have not been camping since this happened, and neither has my boyfriend, Henry. We have now separated, but he is still a friend, and we still get along, and we still remember that night. Neither one of us have drove those scary roads again, and neither one of us ever plan to go back. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I would say you ran into a werewolf. Um, I've said for a while that I believe that these creatures they move in packs, and some of the reasons I believe that is some of the encounters I had at my granny's house. One would beat on the front door while one would beat on the back door, and you knew that it wasn't, he wasn't reaching plumb around the house to beat on the back door. And then there was a time when I was with my son and my little nephew, and we saw these what we thought were coyotes out there. There were 6 or 7 of them in a pack, and they all stood up. So there's another pack. So it tells me that these creatures do move in a pack. They were probably hunting you guys. It sounds like the only thing that really makes me wonder something is you're out there in a tent, and we all know what tents are. You know, they're just some are a little better than others, but I mean, if you think about it, you just have a piece of material between you and this creature. What keeps it from coming into that tent? I don't understand. That is so weird to me. What keeps them from jumping into the cars? I don't know. Do I know of an incident to where a creature got into a car? Yes. Um, I'm speaking to a lady right now. I don't have the permission to use her name, but a family member of hers, and if we can get her to come on the show, this will be very exciting. She says a family member of hers was driving one night not far from her house. Something ripped the car door off his truck and shredded him in the truck. Her dad actually drove to the accident because it was just up the road from them on a gravel road, and they didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. But if she wants to talk about it, hopefully she'll come on and we can discuss that more. But what kept it from coming in that tent that night? What do you guys actually think stopped it? I honestly, I don't have any idea unless they prayed and they didn't mention nothing about it. But that would be my only guess. Guys, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for supporting me. Your support has been amazing. You guys are wonderful, and we do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Welcome to the Abnormal family. We're glad to have you as we continue to grow and go. Thank you so much, guys, and always remember keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. We'll catch you on the next one, guys.